I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Pamela Dillon, and I am the vice chair of the World River Center and our program, the International Whitewater Hall of Fame. For those who didn't hear me earlier, Risa Shimoda, who is our chair, is in a airport security line, so she'll be joining us whenever um, she gets through security and before she boards a flight. We're really happy that you could all join us today and appreciate the time bump forward. She's actually heading to a friend's funeral, so that was the reason for her for the change in time. But we're very happy to have you all with us today. This is really a first ever conversation about what many of you have been doing for a very, very long time, and that is um, looking at your amazing collections of boats and stories, libraries, videos regarding the whitewater community in your parts of the world. We at the World River Center have been hoping to have this conversation for a very long time, just to catch up with, to provide a forum or provide an opportunity for us to share with each other what we're doing. This is going to be a very informal first meeting, but we're really happy that you could all join us today. And we believe we have folks joining us either in person or via the recording later. Will be joining us from really all over the world. I placed in the chat feature just a quick overview of the how would like to what would like to get through today, what the purpose of this is. So the just to review this, we really want to collaborate with all of you, see what we can do to support the work that you're doing, but to share the work that you're doing with each other, like-minded kind of individuals from all across the world. So we'll start by just having you all introduce yourselves, and we're asked that you share the nature very quickly, maybe 2-3 minutes. Share the nature of your collections, and we ask that we know we have multiple people from some of the different facilities, and we just ask that maybe you introduce whoever the spokesperson is. You introduce your team that is with you so that we can provide an opportunity to just, first of all, introduce ourselves. And then we also want to talk about the possibility in a future session, Zoom meeting, of sharing more extensively the nature of your collections virtually. Maybe you've got pre-recorded footage, or you want to just walk us through and give us a virtual tour of what you have. And would like to put together a series of those opportunities to just share your collections or share your various meeting or work efforts in for your museums or your collections or your histories, your books, etc. And then we just want to also invite all of you to work with us to sort out how we can learn from each other, how we can collaborate, how we can support each other's efforts. There's so many opportunities that we're aware of, and we know that we've just scratched the surface. But there's so many good collections of work efforts going on across the world. And ultimately would like to maybe set up a series of perhaps bi-monthly meetings just to continue to inspire each other or to share or to collaborate. And you'll hear more about some of the specific activities we have going on. But I know that we still got some folks joining in, so I appreciate and welcome everyone here. And perhaps I know we have representatives from the Canadian Canoe Museum, the John Wesley Powell Museum, the UK. I have not, yes, Graham is here from the UK. And so let's just go through maybe the list, and I'll start with perhaps the Canadian Canoe Museum. Claudia, I don't know if you want to speak on, or Carolyn or Simone, if you all can just introduce yourselves and just share a bit about the nature of your museum.
I can introduce myself and then let Carolyn and Simone speak for the Canadian Canoe Museum. I'm Claudia, a former slalom kayaker. Hallo Jochen in Deutschland. So nice to see you here. He's also a slalom paddler. But the Canadian Canoe Museum is all boats. And of course, the canoe is at the heart of Canada. It opened up our country. It was the car, and the lakes and waterways were our highways. And it just feels so amazing to have this incredible facility that relaunched last May in a new location. And it is just this collection. And now I'm going to pass it on to Carolyn to share what it is. And it kind of is what we all strive for, to have as a place to go and relive our love for the sport.
Is Carolyn on the line? How about Simone? Is Simone here?
Yeah, I'm not seeing them.
Okay, and then so perhaps we'll come back to them if they can successfully join. The next person, thank you, Claudia. And Claudia is also on the Board of Governors for the World Rivers Center. So you'll hear more about the event that is scheduled for May of 2026 as part of these topics to cover. But first, introductions. How about representatives from the John Wesley Powell Museum? Is Janet or Linda available?
Hi,
Oh, there's Janet. Go ahead.
Janet Smoke, and I have with me, or Linda Jalbert was reached out to in the first place, and she included me. Linda is on our Hall of Fame committee. We have a River Runners Hall of Fame that began when the museum began in around 1990, between 1990 and 93. And our mission is basically to document and celebrate the rivers on the Colorado Plateau. And we focus on river running, and starting with John Wesley Powell, and also look at science and environmental and everything to do with the plateau. We have what I would call a small collection, where we do focus on acquisition of historic craft. We have a fair number of dories. The museum owns dories that are essentially replicas made within the last 30 to 40 years. We have on loan from the National Park Service historic. And then we also have a number of river or modern rubber boats starting in the World War II era and going forward, including Charlie, which was the first bespoke boat built to go down the Colorado River as a film project, documentary project. We also have kayaks, quite a number of kayaks. Starting in early century and going forward, we just acquired a fair number of them recently in an acquisition. But we have a lot that are handmade from that era in between kayaks evolution before they became commercialized. So that's sort of a quick overview on what we have.
Thank you very much, Janet and Linda. Do you have anything else to add? We appreciate both of you being here today.
No, thanks very much for starting this effort. And hi, Risa. I've worked with Risa at the River Management Society, and I'm really happy to be part of the John Wesley Powell Museum's Hall of Fame committee. Each year we hold a festival in the early part of August where we honor several inductees. So it's a great opportunity to be involved in the river community and now a little bit more internationally. So thanks for having me.
Thanks, Linda. And I just want to welcome Risa Shimoda, who successfully, I hope, made it through airport security. So thanks for being here. Risa, we were just going through some of the introductions. So we're asking Graham McElrath to talk about his efforts as well as introduce the others who may be on the call. So Graham.
Hey, can you hear me first?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, good. For some reason, it's come through on my phone rather than my computer, and has also morphed onto my watch. So, and I'm struggling to get my image up on screen and to control things. So, my apologies, you can't see me. We have a number of collections in the UK which have never been really coordinated, and we're setting about trying to get them coordinated now. So it's really a chap called Ralph Freeze from Chicago Land Canoe Base who was really responsible for prompting me into starting to collect some books and some boats, and now there's quite a few of them. So other people have film collections, and there are other people with smaller boat collections. There's two very significant book collections, and we're in the middle of forming a charity to formalize a process and try to produce a centre for people to come together to share their knowledge, their experiences, and try and move the project forward. So that's sort of where we are.
Thank you, Graham. And are there others on the call that also works with UK facility or efforts?
I haven't seen anybody else who is working with me on the call at the moment. Chris Hawksworth was keen to be part of it, but he had a meeting he had to go to, so he may come in late.
Okay, well, thank you, Graham. And Risa, do you want to say a few words before we move on, or you want to continue with the introductions?
Well, I'll just say hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're cutting in and out, but yes.
I'm in a noisy place, sorry. So thank you so much for taking some time to be here. And it's sort of an experiment, you know, but we just thought that Pam has probably already said that like minds, people who really appreciate the sport and want to have others share, you know, in what history we can put together for them. So I'll let us continue, but thanks for a second, and thank you a million, all of you, for being here today.
Thanks, Risa. Let's hear from Germany, from Mr. Lettmann.
Yes, hi, I'm Jochen Lettmann, and as Claudia said, I was also a slalom paddler many years ago, and still love paddling. We have a boat manufacturing place here in Germany, and probably many of you have paddled in one or the other design from us in many years ago. So we have our own collection of old boats from Lettmann here in our shop, which are presented to the customers which come in and out. and they're hanging on the wall. It's like my Olympic boat, my world champion boat, and we have boats from the Olympics in '72 here. We've got some downriver boats and all kinds of old icons we've got here. And of course, we've got the first ever built Lapland kayak here on the wall, which luckily made the way back home. And we also have the boat from my dad, where he was world champion in. That's actually a clapper folding kayak, so it's that's on the wall as well. But that's a pretty limited amount of boats. It's which you can have in the shop. It's about 10 boats you can have in the shop, and then the space is gone. But we've got some more somewhere hidden in our warehouse, where they are waiting to come to be seen, hopefully once in a lifetime.
Thank you so much. And anyone else here from your working with you on this, Johan?
I actually don't know. I haven't seen all of it. Wait a second. Where can I see all? No, I don't see anyone. But there's also in Germany, we've got that kayak museum in Munich, which actually I don't know in the moment who's head of it, because it was many years. Forgot the name. A whitewater paddler, but he has passed it over, if I'm right. But it's a big museum with a lot of kayaks. Most of them are folding kayaks, out of like 50, 100 years of age. So pretty nice old boats. Nothing from the last 20, 30 years, which are some interesting boats as well.
Well, thank you very much for joining us. And let's hear from Italy, our friends in Italy. Lorenzo, if you can share your efforts over the years.
Thank you very much. Good morning good morning, everyone, and thank you to Risa for the invitation. For me, it's an honor to be here. I live in Italy. I paddle in rivers and sea for over 50 years. I've been on the Italian national team, and I am a whitewater canoe instructor. To be honest, I don't have a canoe collection, but I'm here because last year I published the world's first comprehensive history of canoeing from its origins to the present day, entitled The Art of Paddling, an Illustrated History, filling a major publishing gap. The work is in 4 volumes, approximately 1,500 pages, 1,300 images, 2,500 people cited, and 2,700,000 character imprints. Excuse me for my English. By the way, a new revised and corrected edition was released a few days ago. The work covers all types of canoe builders, construction technique, the protagonists and their exploits, the world of competition, and much more. It was a monumental undertaking. I dedicated about 7 years of research and writing to do it. In this regard, I would like to thank Grant Macareth, a great expert on canoe history, and Dave Manby, who provided me with information and some very interesting images. Having covered every type of canoe in the world, from the Paleolithic to the 2024 Paris Olympics, I consider myself a generalist. Many of you will undoubtedly have a far greater expertise than I do in specific area of canoeing. However, I believe my work can make an important cultural contribution to our world, capitalizing on its history, which would otherwise be partially forgotten. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much for joining us today and for your amazing efforts. Really, really astounding. We have a few additional folks here, and I have a list of some of the folks that are, or the collections that we have invited. So I don't see Dave Kurtz, but anyone representing his collection of work here in the U.S.? Seeing none, David Curran.
I'm here.
Yes. Why don't you introduce yourself and share what you've been up to?
Yeah, thank you. My name's David Curran. I'm honored to be here today. I'm a former slalom racer from the East Coast. I currently live in Vancouver, Washington. My collection is sort of a mishmash of boats, paddles, helmets, posters, primarily during the time that I was competing. So late 60s, 70s, and early 80s. I have about 30 kayaks, several molds, multiple posters, probably like 30 wooden paddles from that era, probably like 20, primarily Ace helmets with different insignias on them. And I'm just a guy that collects boats. I didn't realize this would ever turn into anything. My wife, Bridget, was always wondering what I was going to do with all these boats that are sort of hanging around the property. Several noteworthy boats, and Mr. Letman will appreciate this. I have the original Kevlar kayak that was ever made by Letman. It's a Mark V. That was Mark Fawcett used to work for DuPont, and he was handed a ream of Kevlar, and he had Klaus Letman make 3 Mark V kayaks back in, I believe, 73. And I've located one of those a couple years ago that was ready for the dump, and I fixed it up, and that's currently hanging in my garage. That's the gist of it.
Thank you, David. Anyone here representing, or I don't see Charles Albright, but I see a few other folks on the call here. So let me just see. Mike, I have Mike's iPhone. Why don't you share your interest in this?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. It's Mike Fischesser from North Carolina, southeastern United States. About 6 years ago, we started a small museum called the Southern Appalachian Paddle Sports Museum. And we were lucky enough to have it located in a outdoor retail store. So we don't have to pay anything. It's free, and staff roam around the store so people can come in. Once a year, we have a thing called a night at the museum where we have a guest speaker, and a lot of paddlers show up, maybe 100, 150. Charlie Walbridge has spoken recently. And that store, Black Dome Mountain Sports, where we are now, has been asked by the owners of the building to move, to relocate. So they're going to relocate in Asheville, North Carolina, but they do not have room for our small paddling museum. So we're on the hunt for a new location. And Risa and I have been talking about the excitement that we have for a possible location at a gigantic antique mall called the Antique Tobacco Barn, if you want to look it up. And it's 70,000 square feet. And it's that's the airport, at Risa's airport. And so they're pretty much full. The Hurricane Helene ripped off the side of this metal building when the Swannanoa River rose and washed out hundreds of thousands of dollars of antiques. So they're probably in the Atlantic Ocean now, but the building has filled back up with tons of antiques and booths. There's not much floor space for us, but it's an old airplane hangar, and at 70,000 square feet of floor space, they are very excited about the possibility of us relocating our museum there and maybe being able to suspend as many as 80 kayaks and canoes. I'm not sure about rafts, from the ceiling beams above everybody's head, and then have a lounge with a part of a wall for a video display. So it's not a done deal. They're still talking about it, and the engineers of the building are trying to decide how much weight can the beams support. So we'll keep you posted.
That's pretty exciting. Thank you, Mike. And Tom Holte, why don't you introduce yourself? You are muted, Tom.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I do not have a collection, well, much of a collection. I have had a long-standing professional interest in a very large collection for the purpose of research. I own a business called topkayaker.com. We specialize in parts for kayaks, and such a resource would be excellent for helping people figure out what parts they need and how they're going to go about implementing repairs and maintenance to their kayaks. And I've been corresponding with Charles, and he has quite a collection. And I've been helping Charles with some of his boats.
Well,
I would very much like to see a museum of North American made kayaks, mostly from the 80s and 90s. I think those are of great interest to me, and I think those boats are quite pivotal in the history of kayaking as a recreational sport for anybody. And I would love to see a museum on the water so that you could go and actually try the boats and experience what it's like to paddle a 1980 Aquaterra Chinook or a 1996 P&H, whatever that one is. Anyways, that's my thought. And I'm just very interested in such a project, and I want to follow it as much as I can and be involved in knowing what's going on. And maybe as time develops, I can pitch in and roll up my sleeves and get some work done too. That's about all I have to say.
Thanks, Tom. And we're always looking for people to pitch in. And so we appreciate you being here. I just see GR on my screen, and sir, I'm not, I haven't met you before, but you look familiar. So please tell us about yourself.
Interesting. I'm familiar because your name is familiar to me too. My name is Gary Barton, and I'm in Canada, Ontario, which is generally around the Great Lakes. I am historically a slalom racer, and I've met a few people on the screen here. Claudia, we were teammates. Risa, I did work with when she was at Perception. I built boats for a while. Jochen, I sent your dad a picture of you in the Olympics in '92, and he sent me a nice letter back. And Rich, I know the name. Kevin, I know from the International Whitewater Hall of Fame. And Dave Kern, I know we were roommates in Augsburg 1 year training. Anyway, I'm here because I was invited. I don't actually have a collection of the boats I built. I gave my most valuable one to Claudia to hang at MKC. That was Dana Koletik's Olympic boat from '96. Besides that, I guess I just know a lot of people around here and have some connections. I'm going to put a link in the chat by, I'm not sure what it is exactly, whether it was somebody's thesis it says it has a high school, at the top is a high school title. It's very American in nature. The history of freestyle paddling, which I suppose if you're in the US, you might recognize that person's name. I didn't. It has a very US slant. And I know that Graham, who I also know, would be able to fill in some blanks from the European side on the development of boats. And yes, I actually know Graham from a very long time ago. I have in my hand a cup. I'm drinking my coffee, which was a prize in 1974. A slalom at a place called Ironbridge in the UK, which isn't far from where Graham lives. I actually met
Brilliant.
Graham before that. Hello, Graham.
Hi.
You might remember me as a 14-year-old kid trying to get spray skirts made for the first boats we ever made. So that's why I'm here. I also am involved with Claudia, I guess, in next year's inductees to the Hall of Fame at the Canoe Museum.
Great.
So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you very much, Gary. And yes, now that we have met along the way, so it's good to see you. And Risa, if you are in a position where you can just share, then there's a few of us here from the World River Center and the International Whitewater Hall of Fame. So would you be able to just share what we're up to for those who may not be familiar? Oh, you are muted. Let me see if I can unmute you.
There we go. You hear me
There
now?
you go. Yes.
Yeah, so first, a lot of the folks who are here, just like to acknowledge. Do you hear like a echo? Am I okay?
No, you're good. You
Okay.
sound fine.
Yes. So in 2019, the International Whitewater Hall of Fame, which had been sort of adopted or parented by the Adventure Sports Center, the Paddle Sports Professional something or other, the Nantahala Outdoor Center, and a variety of nonprofits through which we were kind of be able to solicit money and so forth, went away. So we decided to create our own 501c3. So that's the World River Center, and the mission of the World River Center is slightly larger than just the Hall of Fame, not just the Hall of Fame. This big program that we have developed since 2003. So the World River Center's mission is, besides hosting that program, is to create sort of a community among like-minded folks who like those who are here. The folks who are on the World River Center Board of Directors include, I'm trying to see everyone who's here. Kevin Lewis is our secretary, and Pam is the vice president, so vice chair, vice something. Claudia is an at-large member. Rich Kulowick is our treasurer. And we have a couple of sort of honorary people, including Dave. Oh, and John Gregory. Thank you for going back on camera. John so this is the board of directors, and it is us folks who are involved in the International Whitewater Hall of Fame as our main program, like I said. But and we're thrilled about this year's 5 new honorees, and look forward to, can't wait to go to the Canadian Canoe Museum, thanks to Claudia's relationships with the folks, Carol and others there. So kind of just stepping aside from that important project, our hallmark project, we've sought to try to connect canoe museum people, and he's not here today, but Kent Ford was kind enough to share with us those who he has been in touch with. You probably have all been in touch with them at some point, about the museums or the collections, and it's based on his list of recommendations that we reached out to all of you folks. And we have thought about, just in the summertime. Oh, I'm going to mention 2 folks who are not here, who were on the list. One was Dave Kurtz, and Pam and Virgil, her husband, and I visited, and Rich visited the Dave Kurtz Museum, which is in Bellefonte, Pennsylvania, a location of many, many New England slalom or Penn State related slalom races for many years, wild water races too. And he has a couple dozen boats, including the first C1, the first K2 slalom, we think, some dating back from the 50s, because he started paddling in the 50s. He's currently 93. And so he has a small museum, and it's in the process of being kind of interpreted with signage and so forth. And then just quickly, because Tom has been saying, where's Charles Albright? Charles has actually recently done a video, just a tour of his home, which was built so that he could accommodate his boats, believe it or not. So he has doubles boats that are sprint, ocean racing boats, slalom boats, wild water and slalom in his house. And so he has over 100 boats in his house. You can believe it. So his house is very unusual, but he has an amazing collection on ocean, lake, river, of all sorts. And we can certainly share that for folks who would like to see it. And one other person, Dave Mason, who's a longtime wild water person and leader in the United States, has essentially a small museum beautifully displayed in his home in North Carolina on the Tuckasegee River. So those folks are kind of in the mix, even though they're not here today. So again, thank you everyone for being here. And you know, what we've kind of dreamed about when we, a couple of us who got together this summer, thought that one step that we could take, short of inviting the whole world to visit all these different places, which is a little bit impractical, that we try sharing our respective collections, if you will, like a walk around the Letman factory or the offices, Jochen, or Charles inviting people to his home, or Dave inviting people to his place, just to see what exists. As that's a very, basic step. The folks who have museums like Janet and Carolyn up in Canada already built facilities, or what Graham will have next summer might be the ones to start with, or where they're actually, hanging and can be pointed to as opposed to being like in a pile, right? The world would love to see them. And so a simple thing that we could do would be every other month, just do a Zoom call where we schedule it. And Jochen gets his camera, his phone, and walks around his office and tells us what's in his place. Or, that may be a little bit too simple, but we thought at least we could start there, and we might want to structure the program a little bit more. Oh, and also, what I mentioned this to Lorenzo, and I think it was minutes later, Lorenzo came back with 12 different programs that he would offer on because there's so many different chapters of our history. He could probably do Zoom meetings for all of eternity and not exhaust the content that he has researched. So we could also do sessions that are like that. They're not just looking at boats, but maybe talking about parts of our history. So, we thought that might be a way to begin to create a community, and that the group here, or parts of us, at least one person from all the different entities could be part of like a working group. That's why we have coined that phrase, to figure out what we're going to do. Because we don't have an agenda necessarily, except to create community. And I think if there might be folks who are more interested in European boats or more interested in Canadian boats, but we don't really know because we've never tried this before. So that's really the extent. Pam, we've talked about it, so you might want to add something, or Claudia, but really after some maybe add-ins to what I've forgotten, would love to hear folks' ideas Because setting up a Zoom meeting is pretty easy. We just get the program, share it as far as we can and see who shows up. But beyond that, any other input is really, really welcome. And Rich, you've raised your hand, so go ahead.
So, hi, everybody. I am incredibly impressed by what all of you have done. I ran out of room to take notes because there's so much to write down. Lorenzo, I'll be buying your book in about 45 minutes. And I wanted to share with you, we're also trying to acquire and digitize as much information as we can. For example, Dave Kurtz has an entire house full of paper and photos. He has slalom results back to the 1950s. And if someone, and it's probably going to be us, doesn't get those, digitize them, and save them, they're going to disappear forever. So we are trying to do a digital archive. This is why I have about 5,000 pounds or 2,200 kilograms of paper, videotapes, etc. In the basement here, awaiting digitization. I also want to share a screenshot here really quick. So give me just a sec, because I found a copy of this book. And Lorenzo, if you don't have a copy of it, I will try to find one for you. There were only 100 copies of this printed about 25 years ago. And it is a rather comprehensive reference to every publication in the field. I have so far not been able to locate the author. I would like to, because I'd like to find out if he's alive. And if so, I would like to see if we can acquire the rights to it, because it needs to be revised and updated. So my interest, coming from a technical perspective and being a long-time technical person, I might be the longest tenured paddler on the internet because I started in 1977. My interest is in trying to preserve printed material, photos, slides, film, video, because if we don't do this, we're going to lose them. And each time we lose one of those things, we lose things in history. So thank you so much. Like I said, I am completely knocked out by what you guys are doing. It's just amazing. Thank you.
Risa,
Risa,
may I say something real quick?
From the Canadian Community Museum, welcome. You want to just say hello and a little bit about the museum? Everyone else, you might have to watch the video later or the notes. But if you could just share with others the short story of your amazing place that we can't wait to see in May.
Hello, welcome everybody. Hi, my name is Carolyn. I'm the executive director here at the Canadian Canoe Museum. For those that aren't familiar with the Canoe Museum, we are located in Peterborough, Ontario, Canada. It's a small town outside of Toronto, about halfway between Toronto and Ottawa. And this location that we're at right now, we've actually been around as an organization for over 25 years, but we had a major capital fundraising campaign and went through a huge construction project, which lasted about 4 or 5 years. And last May of 2024, we opened to the public at the Canoe Museum at a new property across town. And so we're actually, for the first time, on a lake. We've got 1,200 feet of shoreline that we get to have fun managing. We've got 5 acres of campus, and we finally realized the vision to have the Canoe Museum on the water so that we can offer both an indoor and an outdoor experience to visitors that are coming. And really, the focus with we have the world's largest collection of canoes and kayaks. There's about 600, and nobody really knows the number, 640 or so in our care. About 25% of those watercraft have Indigenous origins, so they come from Indigenous communities. And so we do a lot of work with a lot of our work is around connecting those canoes and kayaks back to community and having conversations about how their stories should be shared, and just having folks know that they're with us, and what would you like us to do? How do you want us to care for them? And then, of course, we have a whole slew of manufactured canoes and kayaks, whitewater boats, playboats, dugouts, sailing canoes, outriggers, international collection as well. So not just across Canada, from coast to coast to coast, but also around the world. So there's, we've got some beautiful Thai market boats, and we've got incredible outriggers and big, huge dugouts from the South Pacific, and everything sort of in between. Cool reed boats from Lake Titicaca in Peru, like neat stuff. So, yeah, we're a year and a half here at this new facility. It's a totally different offering than what we did before. I've been with the museum for over 20 years myself, and was played a, just a second. Played a major, played the major leadership role as the executive director through the capital project and the fundraising, and was involved in the exhibit development and the collection move and everything else. We're a really small team. There's 12 full-time staff, and then we expand out in the summer to about 22, and really cool, good group of people that are working here, and we have a lot of fun, and we love our place, and it's a really inspiring organization to be a part of. And so anyhow, I am on this call to share a little bit about the museum and what we're doing. We are working with you guys, some of you guys, to host the International Whitewater Hall of Fame inductions activities next May. So we're stoked about that. And that'll be for those that are thinking about coming or aren't sure if they are. I hope you do, because it's we're going to put on a great show, and you get to be here at the new Canoe Museum. So I don't know, Claudia, is that good? Is there anything, what else do you want me to talk about? I just skipped a call, so I've got another 5 minutes.
I am so appreciative that you came on. Yeah, Carolyn's a busy person, and her her sidekick, Jeremy, is curator.
Canoe restoration course for the next 2 days. So cedar canvas canoe restoration. So they're canvassing boats and planking and filling and doing all kinds of cool stuff.
And I think that's another part that is so special, is that there's always a workshop going on. Do you want to just share that space?
Yeah. So for those who haven't been to the museum, well, certainly for the museum, the new museum here at this location, the whole plan was that it would be we would sort of really double down on the hands-on experiential nature of the place. So not only do you visit the exhibition hall, 20,000 square feet of exhibits, but we built in a lot of dedicated workshop space. So we've got a number of making workshops, from paddle making, canoe paddle making. We're doing a Greenland style kayak paddle this coming year, pack baskets, spoon carving, beading, wanigans, canoe restoration, and we've yet to find somebody who's good with the public. We're talking about week-long cedar strip canoe making course at some point. So that is our workshop lineup. And then in addition to that, we have a builders in residence program that we launched this year, 2025. And we had 4 different builders from across the country come and build in the museum. And that was amazing. We just finished. So this is November something. we just finished the month of October with the Kayakut Society. They're a group of builders based in Iqaluit who were here. 3 of them came down, and they built 2 incredible kayaks in the museum. One, a South Baffin style, like big beast, and it's like 22 feet long. It's big. And then they built a much more nimble Netzelek style, so inland caribou hunting kayak. That's like 16 feet. And so they've left those with us so that they can be part of our paddling fleet based in our canoe house, which they renamed our canoe house the Paddle House because it's much more inclusive of course, kayak. And so so that would be a good example. Next year, we've got some beautiful builders lined up that we haven't released yet, but really excited about a lineup for next year. And then school programs. Right now, there's 45 kids running around outside. They're doing a day of canoe campsite Olympics. And so it's a perfect, and fire making. So that it's like outside activities melded with inside. And there's school programming, adult programming. We've got a cafe now as well. So it's a good place to spend time.
It's an amazing place to spend time. The cafe is excellent too.
Yes, I recognize you. Hello, good to see
Hi.
you. Yay. There you go.
So
Papa.
Carolyn, thank
Yes.
you so much. Before you leave, though, we were just one of the things we'll follow up, and you might have heard from Claudia, is that as we begin to kind of tap the brilliance and experience of the people who are in this group, if we kind of develop a working group, and that might be with you or one of the other folks in your group, maybe Simone or somebody, to begin to share on a periodic basis. So maybe we visit the Canadian Canoe Museum in an hour-long Zoom, something or other, in January or February. And a couple months later, maybe we go to Jochen's office or Graham's backyard, where we might see, just a walk-through tour, or later on the facility that's going to house the boats and archives in England. No particular program put together, but if you're open to that, and then of course maybe Janet, we could visit you, do a tour of the John Wesley Powell display. That would be awesome. So if again, before you leave, if you are game for something like that, we'll follow up with maybe developing.
Yeah,
Risa,
together,
develop a sense of community.
Figure out what I need to understand a little bit more how to sculpt whatever we're offering. If it was we don't have a virtual tour established yet, but if we're talking about certainly if the group is, if you're looking at like a permanent establishing a like a physical building and going through the capital, I don't know if you're thinking about a capital fundraising campaign, or I don't know. I have no idea. But if that kind of insight, I certainly can share with the team our experience going through that, and tips and tricks and stuff like that. And of course, the true joy of being in construction. That would be, wouldn't wish that on anybody, but it is a necessary evil, unfortunately. So that's but otherwise, if we don't do a virtual collection hall tour or virtual exhibit tour or anything like that, Risa, but happy to, folks are ready.
A movie or a tour, it could be you or a staff person talking about the museum. I mean, hopefully it's just promoting what you have done, and you have a few slides and you can talk about the history, an expanded version of what you shared with us earlier, partly to share with people what it is, because I don't think people have a sense for the enormity. Just do not. I think it's impossible unless
To the end, to the point of okay, all right, well, yeah.
Can I interject? Would Pam or Lisa, can you put Charles Albright's 2 videos in the chat so that we see what we're sort of talking about, because that is a virtual, he just walked around his house and it's overwhelming how he built his house around a collection. But it's really inspiring and it's a lot of fun.
That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. We
It's
we may
amazing.
be able to send that out to this to everybody in links after this meeting. I think we need to upload it someplace, but yes.
That'd be awesome. Thanks, Pamela.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Pam, Risa, I apologize, folks. I've got to run, but I wanted to share one last thing with you from the Southern Appalachian Paddle Sports Museum. We have a website with a lot of great interviews of the early paddlers, and the website is paddlingmuseum.org. Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
Thank you, Mike.
Graham, and I guess y'all can, what are your thoughts about maybe sharing what you're doing or sharing collections that you know might be possibly of interest to other people? And before you answer, y'all can, I would love to get info about the fellow who was working with Holger. He gave me his email address, but it didn't work. Baumgarts or something like that. He was with the German Canoe Internationales project.
Yeah, I will get that out. My dad knows better than I do, because he was involved there a little bit more. Because we also donated, I think, 1 or 2 old fallen kayaks which were lying around here.
Yeah.
And I can get that, no problem, and send it to you. Actually, we don't do much with all the old boats we've got here. I mean, they're basically hanging around, and we are not. I mean, it's great to see such a great museum as the Canoe Museum in Canada. That's of course a massive amount of boats lying around. I know when you have like 650 boats lying around, standing around somewhere, that's massive space you need for it, especially when they are like stored like they do it. So great. I mean, this is amazing. We haven't done much with our boat so far, unless that we of course explain to the customers what this boat is from and what this boat is doing. I don't even have photos of all these boats, just old catalog photos, of course, but not like of the existing boats. I can try to make that work, that I make a little tour of the boats we've got here, which is quite some work because some of them are of course stored in the warehouse. So I've get them out, clean them up, and then I can try to get a virtual tour, which also is cool to have on our website then afterwards for the company. So it's that would be great. I can do that. That's pretty cool. I know Graham has a very big collection of not only his boats, he's got a collection of many other boats as well, and paddles, as I know. So that could be interesting as well. And I'm not sure if he's got all the images of the boat, but that's definitely interesting to see. And there's some art of all these years from 1963 up to today. We've got some boats, so it will be interesting to see all the other old boats as well.
As far as my collection is concerned, a lot of it is in sort of bulk storage, effectively, and it's not that pretty. So what I could offer is to get some of them out and give you an insight into a few of them. So we could talk about early racing kayaks or early touring kayaks, early sailing kayaks. So let me get a few out. So we've been threatening to do a bit of video on them anyway. So that might be the best way of doing it. And then you can ask me questions on it. Because at some stage, we want to put some of that information online anyway. So it would be an opportunity perhaps to get started.
Risa, you are muted.
we could no rush, we could do this during the course of the next year, so, but maybe just think about it. Both of you guys. If it's an excuse to do something you were planning to do anyway, that's good.
I can say that it will not be in November, so because that month is already full of dates. So I try to get that before Christmas. So and then I will send it to you, Risa, and you can share it around with everyone. And that could be interesting for the people to see what are the possibilities of all boats and what year are they. And as you see on older designs, you can see what is the different design in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s. Boats have changed, outfitting has changed. So it's interesting to see all these old boats lying around and how they look compared to others. And it's amazing with how little the paddlers were paddling in the 70s. There was basically a bad seat with a webbing on the back and a round pole as a footrest. So it's amazing how bad that was. But they were happy and they had good fun with it. So today, impossible to think of that anybody would ever buy a boat like that.
I know for sure that Americans are going to look at your boats, some of the old ones, and say, "Oh, I've seen 20 just like that," because everyone is ripping off Lutman boats in their backyard and in their basement. But they will all recognize the designs because they have seen them.
As Graham knows from his designs as well, there were also big companies ripping off boats from some European manufacturers. So we're still waiting for the royalty for them. These boats.
You could retire if you
working
get the royalties.
Well, Risa,
Janet, any thoughts from you about this whole endeavor?
It's an interesting conversation. I have not been exposed to sort of the international aspect of kayaking here and in Utah yet. We focus very much on, the Colorado Plateau, the Green River and Colorado River and their tributaries. So our focus really are boats that have been on those rivers, but also looking at that evolution. One of the things that excited me about this opportunity, however, is that our next installation exhibit is going to be a kayak exhibit. And we have a 2,000 square foot rotating exhibit gallery where we develop exhibits that are generally up for about a year. That is still very much in development, but this does give me a lot of ideas on kind of, various topics we can explore. Our collection right now of kayaks are very much associated with these rivers and people who ran these rivers and we got the bulk of this collection, which is around, there's 9 kayaks and paddles and associated gear with them, and from 3 different collectors that are here locally. So I'll pass on those collector names because they do have much more than just what they gifted to us. But it'll be interesting to see where this goes. I think from my point of view, this group would be most interested in this new exhibit that we're bringing to light. Not necessarily in the entirety of our collection, which is wooden dories and rubberized boats of variety design that went on these rivers as well. So I'll keep in touch and figure out how we can contribute. But it's exciting to hear this conversation. And the Canoe Museum in Ontario is something that we have been checking out. We've been stalking you for quite some time now. It's a very impressive organization. And I love the fact that we're also now connected to you. So yeah, thank you for the invitation. and my connection to Linda got us here. So we really do appreciate her efforts on our behalf as well.
You're muted, Teresa.
I'll just add, Janet, that as a fan of Herm Hoops, who is the historian of all the rafting companies, he did a presentation at one of our past river management symposiums. Linda may remember. It was sort of thwarted because his AV didn't work very well, but it was, his story started from World War II with the rafts that were used then, and just like Grumman having leftover aluminum, and deploying that in all the millions of canoes that they built. There were lots of surplus World War, war-oriented rafts that became vehicles for the first outfitters. So that whole story, and also kind of the iconic nature of many of the rivers that those outfitters work on, Grand Canyon, of course, and others. I think there's a place for their story for sure. And Martin Litton is part of the story. His boats, his first boat was designed after a Portuguese fishing boat.
Yeah.
That was really good in the ocean. So I think there's definitely a place for folks who have contributed to the stories that are told at the John Wesley Powell Museum.
All the folks you are mentioning are in our Hall of Fame, the River Runners Hall of Fame. And we do try now to focus our collecting efforts around our Hall of Fame inductees. And over the past few years, we've started prioritizing inducting kayakers as well as people who had dories and all sorts of craft. Gary Nichols, who is a Utah name, has been our latest inductee. He wrote the guidebooks for much of the first kayak descents on the Colorado Plateau. But also the French trio kayakers we inducted a couple of years ago, which you guys had already inducted. So I can definitely see the overlap, and I am happy to share as much breadth as you would like. Herm Hoops is he is an amazing historian. We have so much of his collection and archives here. Roy Webb, who also continues to be on our board, is another river historian that also has just great depth in this region.
Well, I think we're identifying more program opportunities every time someone else kind of comes to mind, which makes me think that the idea of sharing has some legs.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Well, and you see Charles Albright is either on by phone. I saw he was entering.
Hello.
Charles, we're finished.
It figures.
But we talked about your video links, so
Yeah.
we'll be sharing those.
All right.
And we'll have a recording for folks to share. Is there any other ideas or suggestions? It seems like there's energy for somehow sharing. We can kind of draft some ideas, and we appreciate your offers to take the excuse of sharing here to go and dust off some boats, Graham or Jochen. And yeah, we'll just kind of keep the conversation going. We don't want to have meetings just to have meetings, but maybe we'll try to schedule something and then a few months from now get back together again. One thing that I know would be important to Carolyn, but for sure with the World River Center folks, is to shine a big light on the Canadian Canoe Museum production that we'll be planning, and others, however we share, also, and with a cadence or a frequency that's fun and keeps us in folks' mind, but it's not too much, because this is just like an interesting everyone, right? We don't want to make it a burden for anyone. Anything else? Anyone? Those who have been quiet? John or Kevin or Gary?
I think it's a tremendous idea. It's like a kind of specialist interest group. I don't know, almost like a show and tell a little bit. So yeah, I think we would find it fascinating. Happy to help in any way. Yeah, look forward to it.
Anything else? Anyone? Lorenzo, you
John,
have
to
a
John
unique type of
Gregory,
program.
John, in Germany, we have one guy, he's also getting all these old results from slalom paddlers together. So on the German Canoe Federation page, there's also possibility to get all the old results. So I'm not sure if you want to have that. I'm pretty sure there's not so simple to find. I will try to get that link and try to get it to you somehow. Maybe
Yeah,
if
no,
you
that would be wonderful. Yeah, there's Guy Diaz Canida, Ettore Valdi. There's a few of us around the world that have been Pete Keen in the UK that have been collating
he's got results
international
from German national
Oh, right.
results to worlds and Olympic results from the last 40 years or something like this. So
Yeah.
so I don't know
Yeah,
if
no, that would be fantastic. I've got every Olympic slalom paddler in there since '72.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, I will try to get that link and get it to you.
that would be
If
amazing.
just write me your email in the
Sure,
in
I'll
the
do
chat,
that.
and then I can try to copy it and send it directly to you.
Okay, that would be great. I will do that. Thanks, all.
Cool, no problem.
Yeah, and on a similar note, one thing that Rich mentioned this, but kind of in the same vein as sharing results. We do have lots and lots of paper, magazines, books that ultimately would love to be able to share digitally. So we're going to work on that. Because if we can share all of what we all have somehow, get an A. It might take a while. And digitizing paper is difficult, but or maybe we just need to find a partner with a big old digitizing machine that we can utilize. But that's hopefully in our future. And as well as sharing videos, because there are so many that today, if you wanted to see 7 expeditions or something, you could find them, but they would all be in different places. So, collating visual, audio, printed, digitized resources would be wonderful. Yeah, what have I missed?
Well, I would just like to see if people would maybe want to get together, say in January, a couple months from now, and we'll identify a kind of a featured facility or program or collection, and we'll maybe just start making scheduling out some different time frames so that we all can plan to participate or invite others to come in. Does that sound like a step forward? So we'll get together. If you're interested, maybe it's the Canadian Museum or another collection. I know that we've already got the list of programming from Lorenzo, which we greatly appreciate. So we'll just start putting together perhaps a schedule of topics, and we can move forward from there and definitely fill in any gaps that, if there's a special event or a time frame that we want to share with each other, we can certainly do that as well. Obviously, we're all very interested in making sure you all have the May 2nd induction for the Whitewater Hall of Fame on your calendars, and perhaps we can get together in person in Canada on May 2nd of next year. So please schedule that, or if you have an interest, would love to see you at that event in Canada.
And just really quick, Claudia, do you want to mention the activities after the induction?
Yes.
We're planning.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a week. We'll get together. Saturday, May 2nd is an afternoon of on water and customized tours of the exhibit. And then the induction ceremony and a dinner. The Sunday, we're looking at hosting on the Gull River, the Minden Wildwater Preserve, a slalom, a local slalom, but then a motocross for all us oldies that we don't get intimidated by the steep sloughs, other than Jochen, you know, he's going to be still comfortable running the upper section of the Gull. And then post that, we have a mini week of rivers through Madawaska Canoe Center, which is our paddling school. And we'll be paddling the Madawaska, the Petawawa, and the Ottawa River, supported with gear. And again, for those that aren't comfortable to paddle anymore, a raft. We've got that too. So we want to celebrate whitewater. And we have a lot, and May is a great time to be in Ontario because the snow melts and the rivers are in fine form. So we're looking forward to, like, yes, there'll be quite a bit going on around. And as Carolyn said, the boat builders in residence, we will have based around, something will be specific around kayaking, boat building. And so that'll be really special to be part of. And that'll be going on before May 2nd and continuing on after.
Great. When you first were talking, you said you were going to provide beer. Now, I think you said gear, but it sounded like beer. Yeah. Both, maybe both.
We'll have beer too. There's a really good brewery called Whitewater Brewery. So it's well named. So beer, as we all know, is important at the end of a good run.
Well, I think we're good. Thank you again so much. We'll follow up. We'll send links to Charles's videos of his home. Charles, they're amazing. You're still here. And we'll be in touch. Thank you, Pam, for starting us with my legal issues here. But thank you, everybody, so much.
Thank you. Well,
okay, bye.
Thank you.
Nice
to be in touch very soon. Wonderful
Bye-bye.
meeting, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day.
Bye. Bye, Lorenzo.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.